On this 4th of July, we celebrate the inspiring underdog story of Richard J. Flaherty. The Giant Killer by David Usick with Neil Usick is the true story of the shortest man to ever serve in the U.S. military. I'm a voiceover artist, and to become a voiceover artist, I created a website called vividvocalsvo.com, and on that website, I make recordings that I post there. I have demos, which people who come to that website, if they're like, let's say, executives to a company, are like, I want to do an audio spot, but I don't know if this is the my guy I want. Does he have any audio clips? And that's what the demos are for right there. I have autism, and although I'm considered a lot more high functioning, so to say, that's the term they use, I definitely know I would have struggled a lot harder because, for one thing, finances were hard for me to tackle. Synergies was like the final piece of the puzzle I was looking for that got me there, and learning how to be not only an entrepreneur, but to be comfortable as a business partner. For Synergies Work, when I found out about it, it was through my mom first, and she found it on Facebook, and she's like, okay, he needs to be an entrepreneur, so that's how I got started, and it was a very good class that the I2I business class, did very good at accommodating my needs and everyone else's in order to get us where we needed to be. I actually feel like I got a lot more comfort around this now, and it's because of Synergies in that department, along with so many others, that without them, I would not be comfortable doing that.
I was able to connect him with an agent who offered him an audition, which he landed. So he got his first gig. We've done a lot of Business 101. We signed up for an EIN number. We registered a legal entity for Daniel. We talk about marketing leads and strategy. We just do a lot of brainstorming. So I think I'm just a good sounding board for Daniel, and I'm happy to be part of his team.
In the next couple of years, I hope to be blowing up with emails from a lot of clients who want to hire me, and also to be in a comfortable position where it's like, yeah, I succeeded in life, not just by also having a good place financially, but also having a good place mentally, and also how I'm going to know that I'm going to be okay in the future, even when my parents are gone, and I'm going to be happy with my own life. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Synergies Work's Stories That Bring Us Together. Vincent van Gogh once said that great things are done by a series of small things brought together. In this talk show, we share a series of stories and small events of how seemingly different people connect to build synergies.
What an amazing introduction by Daniel. Amazing introduction to our second episode of Stories That Bring Us Together. Thank you, Daniel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I'd also like to thank all our sponsors and donors for supporting our work. I'd especially like to thank Zen Business, who are our sponsors for this talk show, Stories That Bring Us Together. Let me take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Aarti Sehgal, the founder and CEO of Synergies Work. This work is close to my heart as I have a younger son, Angad, who has Down syndrome, and he's the inspiration behind everything I do. Synergies Work is one-of-a-kind incubator and accelerator that enables entrepreneurs like Daniel to launch and build sustainable businesses. We do so by providing end-to-end business solutions and bridging the social and economic gaps that exist between the disability community and the business community. As the word suggests, Synergies Work, our stress, our values is all about building synergies, bringing people together and creating a community that supports entrepreneurs. Through stories that bring us together, we are highlighting the stories of our entrepreneurs, our business leaders who have made these some really incredible connections, not only to launch the new businesses, but also for paving the way for equity and opening doors for other entrepreneurs with disabilities. Today, I am honored to introduce three guests who have gathered together to talk about their work that they do. We have with us Daniel Abadie, the voice that you just now heard. He is a voiceover artist and the founder of Vivid Vocals Voiceover, VO, a voiceover production company that believes there is a voice for every story. Daniel is a voiceover artist with a passion for bringing commercials, narrations, animations, and other scripts to life using his vocal skills. He's also part of Synergies Work Eye to Eye program and Impact Grant recipient. His passion for voiceover started when he was young and would do play by play narrations of sporting events. Daniels was diagnosed with autism at an early age, but that has not stopped him from using his voice to inspire others. Our second guest for the evening is Suzanne Holmann, who is the COO of the um, Patterson Real Estate Advisory Group. She is also, before that, she was the vice president with Post Properties. Most importantly, she is a mother of a young adult with autism and is Daniel Abadie's mentor. Alpa Sutaria, she is the board member of Synergies Work. Alpa is currently the vice president and general manager sustainability for the Coca-Cola Company in North America. Over 30 years career with P&G, Deloitte Consulting, and the Coca-Cola system, Alpa has followed her passion to solve challenging problems and create sustainable business growth while fostering an inclusive working culture. She believes deeply in the power to create positive change by supporting and empowering people to help themselves. Welcome, everyone. Welcome today. Before moving forward, I would just like to take a minute to audio describe myself for our audience. And as we go around the room, I'll invite all our guests also to do the same. I am an Asian Indian woman wearing a black yellow scarf, a brown shirt with dark hair, and I am sitting in front of this beautiful painting, orange painting with a blue crab. And this is the most widely traveled crab that travels with me everywhere. Before we dive into our conversation, I just want to let everybody know that please, this is a conversation between all of us, all our friends here, and we want you to join in this conversation. Put your questions and comments in the chat box, and we will answer them and take them here live. So let's dive into the question straight, and I'd like to begin by inviting all our guests to share what connects them to Synergies Work. And maybe to kick off the conversation, Daniel, would you like to go first and then just jump in?
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Abadie. I am the founder of Vivid Vocals VO, like Miss already said. I'd like to thank everyone for inviting me to share my story today. It means so much, and I'm honored to be here for it. And before I go any further, one last thing for the visually impaired. I'm a young white male who is sitting in his home studio right now with sound reduction panels behind me that are of the color black. And for a little personal tidbit, there's a sign that says believe behind me that if you look towards it, it's on my shoulder. All right. So, as far as my journey has started when I wanted to become a voiceover artist, I was very young when I realized I liked what an announcer was, such as how in NASCAR or in football games, there were these guys that were very energetic and hyped up sometimes, but also very casual with play-by-plays and during sporting events. But what I always took away from that afterwards is that I used to imitate what they said after the games were over and try to put my own spin on it. As I was searching for a career path later in life, I realized that voiceovers existed and that, you see, people told me that my voice was not only powerful, but relatable and empathetic. It can even go soft sometimes, too.
Yes, I'm funny. It made me think about my talents and how I could actually use my voice in a career. It was then I attended a VO voiceover workshop. VO is the abbreviation for that. And I was invited to join the Such a Voice training program afterwards. For those of you who want to look up Such a Voice, there's a website called suchavoice.com that has a program for this if you're interested. Anyhow, this program confirmed that I was on the right path in my life. And after completing my training, I knew I wanted to start my own business, but I didn't know where to begin. You see, this is where Synergies Work and their I2I program guided me with the necessary steps to establish my small business.
Okay. So, how did you hear about us, Daniel?
I heard about you through sources like my mother, who looked up on Facebook a lot of different groups, and eventually she found out that Synergies Work was a good program, not just because it helped entrepreneurs, but it helped entrepreneurs with disabilities, which I have because I'm on the autism spectrum. But that has not stopped me from trying to complete my journey into becoming a full-fledged voiceover artist. No, no, it's only given me a bit more inspiration. Either
Got
way,
it. Right.
she found the website, recommended for me, made me have a meeting with you, and the rest is history if we all know what happened next.
That's right. Suzanne, would you like to share how did you get connected to us, to Synergy's work?
Sure. And Daniel in particular,
Yeah.
excuse me. Yeah, so I was invited to observe a session, an IDUI session, and the participants were sort of going around the virtual room and giving their elevator pitches, describing a little bit about themselves and what and the business they're trying to launch. So even before that, there was something about Daniel that drew me. I don't know exactly what it was, but when I heard that he was interested in voiceover work, um, that was like started going off in my head. For one thing, I have, as already mentioned, I have a son who is high functioning, just like Daniel, so that I just really felt a pull to Daniel for that reason. And when I heard he was a voiceover artist, um, that sort of sealed the deal. My brother is a professional voice talent, and I just had the feeling that there could be a good connection there for Daniel, and my brother would be a great resource. So
Great.
sure enough, we got one of our first sessions involved my brother, and we walked through a lot of the basics. Daniel's taken some classes in the Such a Voice training, but a lot of just basics, how to get, in touch with the right agents and just various resources you can, lean on. And that's,
Yeah.
that's how I got
I,
involved.
I remember, Suzanne, if I might share
Yeah.
this with everybody, that Suzanne actually called me after that eye to eye session. And it was, sorry, Daniel, I have to say that. She was like, I am his mentor. I am secondhand.
Affirmative, Miss Suzanne.
And that was, it was actually a magical moment, because I hadn't, um, we were just beginning to invite people into the idea to incubation program, because in all transparency, this is the magic that we really wanted. We wanted the business community to see that there is so much of talent and how we can connect everybody. And so it was just happened, believe me, I don't think we had any role to play in it. It just happened just like that. Yeah.
Well, can I just take it one step further? So shortly after the meeting with my brother, got a call from one of his agents who said, sort of out of the blue, you don't happen to know somebody who does voice work on the autism spectrum? Well, yes, I actually do. So it was perfect. It was perfect timing. And Daniel was put in touch with the agent, auditioned, and then got the part. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. Alpa, to you. I know you are sit on the board of Synergies Work, but would just like to share your connections, why Synergies Work. I know you must be getting called and must be sitting on other boards also. So, but why Synergies Work? And what makes your connection to this community strong?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. And just as a quick description, I am also an Asian American lady with a black dark top sitting on my couch and with a kind of white wall behind me, wearing my very dark glasses today. I just realized how dark they are. Um, Really, Arthi, there are a couple of connections for me to the work that Synergies Work does, and that's what really drew me to the group. I, first of all, have several nephews who have different types of developmental disabilities, and they live here in the United States, but also one who lives in England. And they're very different ages. I have one nephew who's a young adult and one nephew who's just in elementary school. And talking to their parents, who are, my cousin sisters, I learn a lot about some of the challenges that they have in helping their sons grow into really productive members of society. And so that was really near and dear to my heart. But in addition to that, my husband and several other people in my family have been small business owners for many years. And so I have a little bit more of a firsthand appreciation for just how hard it is to start a business and keep it going, and all the different types of small and big things that are involved in that, and how crazy hard it can be if you don't have someone to show you the ropes.
Yeah.
So when I first learned about Synergies Work through some interactions that I had actually at the Coca-Cola company, I had a chance to interact with your group, because at Coca-Cola, we have oftentimes different types of organizations coming in and sharing what they do. And I just happened to participate in one of those sessions, was really inspired by the work that was being done at the time. This was a couple of years ago. And then also recently had a chance to work with one of the other board members through my day job. And we got to talking about the really cool work that Synergies Work does. And it felt like the right time to, lend a hand.
Yeah. We're lucky. We're lucky for that. But yes, I remember that event at Coca-Cola, which was talk to lead event with the Toastmasters and our entrepreneurs who were the speakers along with the other speakers of Coca-Cola, which was a cool event there. But yeah, you made a very important point that how difficult it is to set up your own business, irrespective of whether you have a disability or no disability, age, or what kind of a business you're doing. And that's something that we know that it is tough business, Daniel. For you particularly, what has been the highlights, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as I say, of setting up your own business? Share both the good and the bad also.
Good, bad, ugly. Got it. All right. So, I'd say a good positive of how I've set up my business is that I've learned new tips and tricks that I have otherwise would not have known. Like this I2I business class told me that business cards are important and that you should hand them out to people whenever you get the chance in a public setting, which I have done, and I think it's been very productive for me lately. And also, if it wasn't for Synergies Work, I never would have learned about LinkedIn. Like, LinkedIn has been my go-to source right now for connecting with voiceover artists. And it's how I actually got into a voiceover workshop last month that had a very professional and seasoned teacher.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
As far as the maybe weaknesses I'm suffering right now, I'd say, oh wait, you said the good, bad, ugly, so I have to go to the good. So I have to go to the
okay.
I guess if there's one thing I suppose I still need to work on, it would be mm, trying to look for something that would make me be in a group that's very frequently getting jobs. Like I'm a voiceover artist, yes, and I'm a rookie, but I need to look for a group where I'm like, okay, this is a group that's hot right now. That's like hot, like a talent agency or talent roster where people are like from certain organizations, like, ooh, I need to go to this talent roster and see if I can find the talent that's just right for this voice. And then I can audition for a role and see if I land the part. I think that's what I need right now.
So you need access to a talent pool from where you can get more jobs or auditions. Is that correct? Is that one of the resources that you require?
Yes, more or less.
What do you think are the other resources that would be needed to make entrepreneurs like you successful?
Uh, Funny that you should mention that. I've had this going in my head all day. There's about five, I'd say. There's education, which is crucial. There's support. There's marketing. There's mentoring, like Miss Suzanne, and then there's finances, which was one of my most worrisome subjects I had to think about before I came to this class. Thank you for relieving my fears of that. And all of which, whoever's listening right now, all of this stuff Synergies Works has available for any of their entrepreneurs who wish to sign up to the I2I business class. It's worth it. They teach all five.
Thanks for the plug-in, Daniel. But taking it broader, Suzanne, Alpa, what do you think are the major gaps that exist for entrepreneurs with disabilities and the rest of the greater community? How do we bridge those gaps? What do you think needs, what are the big things that they need access to?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'll jump in here. I feel like Daniel, you did such a good job with your list of 5 things. I feel like that's a really great list of the types of challenges or gaps that exist. They're there for anyone who's trying to start a small business or, become an entrepreneur. But I think they're really magnified for people who are, potentially dealing with other challenges as well, like disabilities. So let's talk about finances, for example. There are lots of sources of funding for small businesses, for different, all different types of small businesses, small business loans, and other sorts of finances that are available for folks. I think it's a lot harder for people who come from the disability community to tap into those resources, to get some of that seed money that's sometimes so helpful in just getting started. So that's one major area. I think another one is really mentorship. For whatever reason, I feel like a lot of the basics, whether it's how to think about setting up your business so that people can understand and so that you can get some value for what you're selling, whether it's a skill or a product, how to set up payroll, how to pay taxes, how to go and find leads, how to market yourself. All of these things are, challenges that every business owner deals with. But I think it's a little bit harder for folks in the disability community to find mentors who realize that we have the same questions that need to be answered and the same guidance that needs to be provided.
Even role models, and you're right, there is nobody here providing money, seed capital to entrepreneurs with disabilities. There's just so few of them that we see that are being surfaced up, and without money, I think the business world doesn't go round.
Well, I think it's good too what we're doing tonight is great because I think we're bringing this concept to life. We're showing, a success story and how it's playing out in real life. And, I know Synergies Work is doing a great job with that. I wish there was more Synergies Work type work going on out there. It seems like I hadn't heard of anything like this, frankly, before I learned of you guys. So I just think getting the word out, and especially in this live format, is great because it's more meaningful than just reading, about it. We're meeting Daniel and hearing about his story.
Meeting Daniel. That's right, and meeting you, because as you mentioned earlier, you were the one who made that first connection for Daniel into the voiceover world by introducing him to your brother, who's a known artist in this community, community, and then getting the first gig. How has that happened? I'd just love to, Daniel, maybe you can share if any of the highlights of your mentoring relationship with Suzanne.
Well, I'd say the highlight there is that meeting with Mr. Stephen Henderson. His last name's not Holman, it's Henderson. They're related, they're siblings though. Okay. Either way, that meeting was great, not only because Miss Suzanne gave me some good marketing tips while he was giving me his voiceover tips, but also because both of them motivated me that this is an outlet that I can keep going with both the knowledge that they gave me. And it was because of Stephen Henderson that I got that first job for that company training module voiceover spot.
So you feel that the mentorship and building that relationships with the people in the business community is important?
Building relationships with people in the business community is always important. Absolutely. Because let me tell you, when you're starting out, you need a teacher and mentor to teach you the intricacies of a business and also to avoid the pitfalls when starting out. Because trust me, you need to avoid those pitfalls as often as you can when you start out.
Right, right. So taking this a little broader, Alpa, what do you think? Do you think, I know you've been working now, as you said, with Coca-Cola and the other organizations you said for 30 years. How important has it been to have good mentors for you personally? And for generally, do we need a couple of them? One? What's your take on mentorship?
To be honest, I've probably had more mentors than I can count. And sometimes you don't even realize that they're helping you and mentoring you. So
That's the
everything
good
from the
part.
small things like, hey, how should I handle this meeting or this interaction? Or how can I think about setting up this analysis or this project? That's mentorship in a, day-to-day kind of setting. But then I've also had mentors that are a different style of mentorship where they're helping you think about a bigger picture question or career change or even how to deal with a particular challenge or problem that you're struggling to figure out how to solve. So lots of mentors in all different places and coming from different backgrounds. I think it's next to impossible for people to do it alone. So basically, that's what mentors do, right? It's people who are helping each other in small and big ways, figuring out how to make progress, and it's super critical, super critical.
I see that and I hear that. And I think I personally feel that sometimes in the disability world community, in my own son, because under the garb of special, we isolate people so early in life that by the time they come to the working age and you want them to get jobs or set up their own businesses, there are no so natural relationships that they can form that all of us take so it just comes naturally to many of us to reach out to this and another person.
Yeah,
And that's what I struggle with. And I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Suzanne and Alpa, and even Daniel. Daniel, please just.
Well, one of the things that Daniel and I have been talking about most recently is, well, for one thing, Daniel is not just a voice talent. He's going to have to put on his sales hat because he's got to go out and get leads. This is, it's a competitive space he's in, and there are a lot of people who want, to do what he's doing. And you can't, things happen because you build relationships and you know people and you can call on those relationships. And so we've talked about sort of putting yourself where those people are, if it's in your class and you're meeting your instructor or classmates, or if it's at a conference or some kind of an industry networking event or whatever it is. That's when opportunities are created because you're forming those relationships and you can sort of stay connected, and things are going to come up and they'll think of you.
We have a Zoom participant right here saying Andrew Gale has a question for Daniel. And he's asking, I'm interested in voiceover. How can I get into that? Where do I start?
Well, Andre, how I started was my path myself. What I did was I found out through voiceover on a website that had a video, and it mentioned how not only is voiceover a job where you could go out to a studio and make your own recording, but you could actually do what I did, make your own home studio and mostly do remote job from here. But the thing is, what I did was I signed up to a program that was teaching the basic necessities, which was the Such a Voice program by suchavoice.com. And what they taught me were all the steps of like how to use your voice, what type of niches I'm good at. And then after they did that, they got me in touch with a producer. Yes, that's right, a producer who is a part of their program, who also knows about voiceovers. What she did was she then got me in touch with a voiceover studio in Georgia. Mine was closer to me at home in Alpharetta. Well, closer-ish. And either way, I got there. I got to do what's called 2 demo reels. Now, Andre, demos are crucially important for you because if you want to be hired by somebody, if you want to do voiceovers, here's what you got to do. You got to go to the studio. You got to record a spot that's about 60 minutes long with 60 seconds, I mean. And each of those 60 seconds, you'll have different audio spots. Like if you're in a commercial, it'll be like maybe 5 different commercial spots that last a few seconds each, maybe like 15 in total,
Yeah.
that then lead up to 60. And for narrations, it's sort of like 4, which lead up to about a whole minute. I have those on my website if you want to take a look at that, by the way. For those of you who don't know, I have a website called www.vividvocalsvo.com, and my demos are actually on there if you want to take a listen to them.
Yep, you can get going and check out Daniel's website and then reach out to him through LinkedIn or connections. So there is another Zoom participant here, Kimberly Baker, who is saying, first, Daniel, you sound great. Once you go through the I2I program, can you launch your business after completing the program?
Once I go through the I2I program, can I launch my business after completing the program? Well, that's the thing about I2I. They basically help you get to that point after you do a, let's say, final presentation of why you're ready to launch your own business through the I2I weekly program class.
Yes.
That's when that's when the real work begins. And like, we're going to match you up with a mentor like Miss Suzanne to me, and then we're going to give you ideas on how to start your own business and how to get customers in.
Right.
That's what they do.
Yeah, and we continue to support our participants for them till they are ready to build sustainability. So a couple of years, if it takes, that's what we are here for. There is another question here, and it's open to everybody. What pitfalls could you hope to avoid in this business? Is it a point setting up any business? It's from Griffin Rudd. Is asking what pitfalls could you hope to avoid in this business?
What pitfalls could we hope to avoid, Griffin? Well, I guess if one thing, it's getting complacent and not checking in as often as you should with your marketing and social media campaigns. That's the thing. You got to stay motivated in this business, man. But also with that, you got to stay motivated and not let the haters die you down, because that's the thing. Sometimes there might be instances of, in any business, not simply voiceovers, but voiceovers are very friendly. I'm just going to say that right now. It's a very tight knit community that helps you a lot of the time. But the thing is, in any business, there is a possibility, a small chance of what we call soft bigotry, where there are responses like, "You really sure you're the type of guy who can do this?" But here's the thing, you gotta shut that out and you gotta believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you believe in yourself, you can make this business happen, and sooner or later, you will be picked up by somebody who's like, "Yes, this dude is determined, this dude wants to do this, and I want him for my job because he sounds like the exact voice I want for this spot."
This is like
Awesome.
entrepreneurial mindset 101.
Oh, I am catching lightning in a bottle.
Stand up right here and say, we're done. No, but see, I think you summed it up. And I just asked, what do you think is the, Suzanne, Alpa, what do you think I can add to it? What makes a person successful, not just in business, I think in life? What is really that entrepreneurial mindset that determines the success or the failure of a business?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say the first thing that popped into my head is just having that frame of mind of being able to solve problems. Because really, for no one, there's no straight path. There's always some sort of challenge that you're going to run into, trying to figure out how to get the right connections or how to set up the right equipment, or maybe finding your first round of customers and then maybe your next round of customers. all of it is about problem solving at the end of the day, because you'll never just have, just kind of like smooth sailing all the time. So that's probably for me the biggest thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I think too, you have to have some kind of plan. I mean, you can't wake up in the morning and sort of scratch your head and what am I going to do? I think it helps, and Daniel and I have started to talk about this a little bit, to have at least an outline of, here are the things I'm going to try to tackle next, and sort of a hit list, and also the ability to get knocked down and keep picking yourself back up, because that's going to happen, disability or no disability, it's going to happen to all of us, and you have to have the sort of, internal strength to keep going. So, and I think Daniel, that attitude, I mean, that's priceless. It's great.
Yeah, but apart from, I agree with you. You have to have the resilience to say, like, if this is a closed door, but it is going to lead me to another open door sometime.
Right.
But it's a tough business. Setting up your own business is tough. Then what motivates you? What inspires you to get up in the morning and say, even though I know you've had some hard knocks in the last few months of establishing yourself, what makes you say, I want to go on and go on again and make with this business?
Well, I'd say for me, if I have any inspiration, it's this itself. It's that if the fact that I continue to work hard and pursue my own passion, I'm not only going to achieve independence for myself, but I'm going to inspire others to do the same thing, and also to think about what other types of businesses and what other ways they can affect their own life by looking at me as a model. And here's the thing. At the beginning of my voiceover journey, I actually created my own quote, my own mantra, and it's this. I may start out as a light breeze in the wind, but over time, I will become a force of nature. Now, I may not be category 5 strength force of nature type guy yet, but I'm on my way.
That's the best. I love it.
I love it. So we have another question here from our viewer. How do you join the I2I program? Kimberly Baker, we're going to start the next cohort in mid-February. We'll be accepting applications in early January. If you have not signed up for the newsletters or emails, just go to the website, send us your email, and you will be posted on all the social media platforms also. Okay, so that's where you'll have to put in an application and we'll go through the rounds. Coming back to the questions here, what you said, what motivates us, yes. I just want to take a minute to open up one more question that's very close to my heart, and that is about, in this virtual room, almost all of us have someone with a loved one with a disability, and therefore we are connected to this mission of building a connected world. But this conversation in my mind is a broader conversation. It's about inclusion, belonging, and an equity, building an equitable place. How can we, as individuals and as a community here, invite more people to support us? How do we bring in more mentors? How do we elevate this conversation to funders, the venture capitalists who are not at this time considering entrepreneurs with disabilities in their diversity conversations? How do we surface this conversation up?
How do we?
Yeah, Alpa, Daniel, Suzanne, anyone?
I say the answer to this question is continue putting a face to your stories and just keep on putting something out there that's you, that's authentically you, that shows that this is your uniqueness and why it may get you out there. Like for me, for instance, what's unique about me in my voiceover journey to make myself different is that at the first of the month of each month, at the first Sunday, I create a audio file related to something that happened on this month a while ago or something that pertains to me. A couple of previous examples of mine include stuff like a 9/11 spot, something related to World Kindness Month, and just most recently, I talked about a spot about the Christmas truce of 1914.
Okay.
That's
So
very
just
cool.
showing up. Very nice.
Arthi, one of the things in response to your question that, has really been on my mind a lot recently, I realized, personally speaking, when I first started to interact with Synergies Work, that I wasn't quite sure how I could help. And the reality is, everybody can help, and we can help in a number of different ways. Number one, just by being a mentor, as you have been, Suzanne, and just saying, "Hey, I know you're dealing with a lot of different questions. Let's just talk about them, and let's see where we can, figure out a path forward together." Mentorship is so important, but I feel like a lot of folks are not quite sure how to mentor someone who maybe has some challenges. The reality is, I think we just need to kind of sometimes put that to the side and realize that there's much more common ground than there is something that's different that we don't know how to deal with. And so let's just dive in. With regards to funding and, how do we get more awareness out there about the needs of this community for resources so that people can develop really great businesses? I think it's to continue to tell these stories in this way, continue to create a bigger and bigger awareness just by talking to our friends and family and all the other people that we interact with, because it's amazing to me every time I talk to someone about this organization and the work that is happening here. We all have personal connections to this community. And, we have to change that mindset from, can it be done to how do we help it get done?
Yeah, very well said. Yeah.
And I think, this is sort of part B of your question, I think, is if we all have loved ones with some type of disability, but if someone approached me, how to help someone who maybe doesn't have a loved one to back them, I think it's kind of the same. I still think you've got to identify, what is this person passionate about and what are they good at, and sort of where does that intersect? And then again, put yourself in that world. Let them, I would advise them to get involved in that world and make those connections and build those relationships and try to create opportunity the way anybody would do that.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said here. I do believe that entrepreneurship, whether it's with folks with disabilities, I think would be rooted in building up better products, better services, which will be far more inclusive for everybody, because whether it is your Audible books, which you can hear, or your voice to text messaging, all are such great products, but rooted for folks who were maybe needed a little assistance. So that's what I believe. It's more than just from the heart, but I think it's just business sense.
Yeah, these people, my son, gosh, he sees the world in such a unique and interesting way. He sees things that I would never think to look for. And, when you address a problem or an opportunity with that sort of different mindset, you get new and interesting results.
So true. So true. We have a question here from Griffin Rudd for Daniel. When you started out, what was your favorite voice to do and why?
Griffin, I'm loving your questions tonight. All right. So when I started out, what was my favorite voice to do and why? Well, at the start of the class, I mentioned how I used my voice for a lot of things when I was very young, and my family took notice of that. And I probably bet the first notice of this was this imitation of this fellow. Has anyone heard of the name of, is it Michael or Daryl Waltrip? His last name is Waltrip. You know him, Miss Suzanne, since your brother's an NASCAR spot guy? Well, either way, he always had this signature catchphrase right before the cars started to go across the line, and it went like this. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys! And that was basically the first, I'd say,
Awesome.
That's so great. I love that.
Yeah, I love his energy. Anything else, Alpa, that I might have missed out and that you might like to mention here?
There were a couple things actually, Arthi. I know we talked a bit about the Eye to Eye program itself and what a great program it is for people who are interested in learning about taking their passion or their idea and turning it into a business, and what the practical things are that they're going to learn. But Synergies Work would really like everybody to know that Synergies Work provides a lot of other types of support, both in terms of ongoing support after people graduate from the Eye to Eye program, so that they have the mentorship and the kind of community help that they need, but also other types of support, whether it's connection to people that can help with social media or marketing or other types of things that are sometimes hard for people to access. So that's a huge benefit. And if you're interested and you're out there and you're listening, check out the website, donate, because we can always use resources to help put on these cohorts and bring more and more people through the program, provide these services, or just volunteer. We'd love to have your involvement. Maybe you want to come and speak at one of our sessions. Maybe you want to come and participate in thinking through how the organization is going to grow for the future. I'm really excited to tell everybody who's listening today that Synergies Work is actually thinking about and working on expanding its reach. So far, we've been very focused on the Atlanta metro area, but we think that there's a huge need out there. And so we're going to try to take on the Big Apple next. And that's going to be really cool to see how that all plays out. So if you know of anybody up there who's interested in this kind of effort, please let us know, because we could definitely use some help as we expand.
Yeah, thank you for plugging that in, Alba. That's definitely we want to reach the northeastern part of the country, or any part of the world of this country. So it's going to be still virtual, but it's not going to be brick and mortar. But we need those relationships that we all depend on for our business growth. We need that for Synergies Work also. And yes, we are raising funds. We have had a target of raising $20,000 by 31st December. We are a little over 50%. We have reached that target, but if there is, you can still donate. We have a banner going at the bottom, which talks about text to donate at SW, and I'm forgetting the number. Okay, yes, here it is. Text SW to 202-858-1233 to donate right here. And on this note, I want to thank all our guests, Alpa, Daniel, Suzanne, for joining us today, and to all our guests who are listening in and asked such interesting conversation and were part of this dialogue with us. Thank you, Sylvia and Tori, for interpreting this today. And yes, there is a black banner which talks about contact Daniel at vividvocalsvo@gmail.com. If you have any more questions, right there.
And for more information, you can go to my website, www.vividvocalsvo.com.
Yes, that's right. And I want to remind one last thing, that our next talk show event will be on January 19th, and it will be a little different. We are bringing in, yes, it's from 12 to 1 p.m., right in the middle, and we are bringing in two business leaders who will be talking about entrepreneurship and disability. This is Hadley Harris, who is the co-founder of ENIAC Venture Funds in New York City, and Arjun Sehgal, who is on the board of Synergies Work and also works with the NYU Future Labs. So it'll be an interesting conversation from the business point of view and the funding, which is very critical for all of us. So happy holidays to all of you. And I would like to end this talk show with the beautiful voice of Daniel. So over to Daniel.
Thank you for participating in the stories that bring us together. We all have a story to tell, and for those with disabilities, Synergies Works will provide resources and support needed to help you share your vision with the world. Remember, no matter your background or limitations, if you remain committed and believe in yourself, you will find your purpose in life. Please consider sharing your time, talents, and resources with Synergies Works. I promise you won't regret it. Finally, On behalf of Synergies Works and all their entrepreneurs, I would like to wish each of you peace, health, and happiness in the coming new year.